let's sum up once again. What are the elements, some of the elements that can make for a compelling opening? To shout them out.
Mystery.
Mystery. Conflict.
Voice.
Voice. Compelling voice. Those are the three biggies right there in my book. So who has an opening that uses mystery? You do? Okay. Read it.
When I looked around, it all looked
Stand
the
up,
same.
please. And when you read your work, this is always a good thing. When you read your work, act like it's something of importance and read it slowly enough that everyone can hear.
When I looked around, it all looked the same. It still read Wall Street on the corner. The building was still taller than I could see, but it didn't sound the same. The vernacular was foreign to my ears, and no one was wearing jeans.
Interesting. What are you guys getting from that? It was a little hard to understand you. Can you read it one more time? Just slow down a little bit and read a little louder.
When I looked around, it all looked the same. It still read Wall Street in the corner. The buildings were still taller than I could see, but it didn't sound the same. The vernacular was foreign to my ears, and no one was wearing jeans.
Okay, very, very nice. Yeah, what do we get from that? No, let's talk about hers a little bit. What do we think? Yeah.
I'm teaching in New York City.
Definitely in New York City, but in another time, right? Some other time. No one's wearing blue jeans, for one thing, which I can't imagine that happening yet.
I think she went back in the past to like kind of the stock market crash type thing. That's what I immediately thought when she said.
Yeah.
I was just wondering what everyone's wearing.
And it's good if an opening leaves you with more questions too. You know, you shouldn't try to answer everything. Even the ones that sort of have you start with a death. You got to know how he got to that firing squad, right? Who else has a mysterious opening? Where's your hand? Everybody. And speak loud.
10, 9, 8. Standing outside and freezing cold with my girls. We waited outside for many hours till the ball dropped in 2013. 7, 6, 5. The New Yorkers can barely move an inch because it was too packed. It's almost time for New Year's. 3, 2, boom. What just happened? Where am I?
Celeste, what just happened?
Where am I?
Where am I? Where is she? What else do we get from this?
I like the way it starts with kind of regular stuff you're used to. The rhythm's really nice. You said it, the rhythm of the numbers. And all the stuff is like the regular stuff you expect from New Year's Eve, and then there's sort of like a punchline moment where, wait, everything's changed.
And by the way, the technique she just used with the countdown is another sort of craft tool of making lists or sort of counting back or counting forward that I think is good for helping to create tension. So that was very well done. Who else has a mysterious? Yes?
I'm not sure if I should be honored or freaking the hell out about being trapped in Sylvia Plath's body.
Well done. I don't even know that requires discussion. I think that's very, very, very good. Who else has one? You raise your hand?
They peered out at the horizon, and the usual hum of the beach fell silent. Even the children, knocking empty coconut shells together as their parents gutted fish and sharpened their spears, seemed to freeze. Ghosts were sailing to shore.
Beautiful. Very nice. Very nice. So what do we get from that? It's harpoons and spears, right? So it's in the past. What else? What draws you into that? For me, it's the voice, right? It's very, yes.
The fact that she mentioned ghosts.
The fact that you mentioned ghosts. So there's the element of mystery. Okay, who has a conflict? A very sort of conflicting opening, something that uses that. Yes, ma'am.
This is fiction. The freckled-faced boy handed me a doobie. I didn't know it was called that, but within 6 months, just before I went to prison, I was scoring doobies and getting high with Fred, my drug dealer, my son.
Good. And you're drawing that from your life? I know. So, well, there's a lot in that, right? Let's talk about that. Come on, guys.
Their main conflict is the son and mother or father.
Yeah, that's the big punchline. There are several, like there's, oh, and then I was in prison, and oh, wait, and Red is her son, and she didn't recognize him at first, and now she does. So that was excellently done.
Well, and we had the benefit, sorry, I'm just very sorry. We had the benefit of her reading to know that she was a woman, but I can imagine if I was reading that for the first time, that I would assume it was a man until that part when she said her son. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
But the part where, why would you switch over to thinking it was a woman when the character, when the narrator mentions a son?
I guess she didn't.
I think it could have been a man.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, because she was reading and I just thought it was his mother.
Yeah.
But the voice is actually more masculine, right? Yes?
I think it's fascinating because usually we think of the young person as being innocent and going through to experience. But in this case, it's the older character who starts off being innocent and
And
ends
is
up
corrupted
experience.
by his or her son.
I liked how the keyword you think is going to be Dewey, but then there's a turn and the keyword ends up being son.
Okay, who is it? Who else has one? Yes?
A woman in love would sacrifice.
Can you
her-
speak a little louder?
Yeah. A woman in love would sacrifice for her man, but a woman from the future has no heart to offer.
A woman in love would sacrifice from her man, but a woman from the future has no heart to offer. Very nice. Very mysterious. That's more of a mysterious than a conflict, but it's very nice. Why would a woman from the future have no heart to offer? That's the big question for me, yes.
Well, it kind of makes me think about how in the past, women were seen to be really like naive and innocent, but the farther you go in like present day, like we're not like that anymore.
We're bitches now.
I was actually thinking of it somewhat differently. I was thinking it was the same person and her heart kind of got used up.
Interesting. Very interesting. Interesting questions that are raised, and if you're raising questions, that's always a good thing. Okay. One more conflict. Opening. Yeah. Please stand up. Thank you.
It was the moment when Lucy was about to jump, her bare feet teetering on the granite edge, stories and stories above the bustling Fifth Avenue. She realized she should have worn the red dress instead of her lilac one. Daniel would have preferred it that way.
Done. Did everybody hear that? Let's talk about that. She's literally, yeah.
You can tell that the character is on a journey, like on her way somewhere, so.
Off of the edge of a building, right? She's about to fly off into space. Yeah. And what's she thinking about? She's not thinking, I'm about to die. What's she thinking about?
Like maybe how she looks.
What one person's going to think, right?
It makes me think maybe she's going to heaven or something. She's going to see Daniel maybe.
Oh.
So that's why she's going to look nice for him.
She's saying that she's going to heaven and going to see Daniel, and now she wanted to look nice for him. Did anybody else see it in a different way? Yeah?
Well, I saw it in a much darker way, where she had this really sort of tumultuous, violent relationship, maybe with Daniel, and that this was a spectacle of some kind that was a lot darker than it.
And who has an opening that they'd like to read that was very good, by the way. I've lost you, whoever's opening that was. Excellent. Who has an opening that sort of has a strong voice, or a voice that carries you into the story? Yes?
The first thing that struck me was the horrendous, overpowering smell. It was the unmistakable scent of horse manure.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think we know there's more shit in the room, and we don't quite know, I don't think we quite know enough in there to sort of, you haven't quite hooked me in. So what's an element we could add, thinking about that? Like if, I don't know, horse manure, but you're in a sauna. You know what I mean? Like something that adds an element of sort of, whoa, what's wrong with this picture might help that. I know we're about Q&A. I have 10 minutes for Q&A. I want one more voice though before, yeah.
Taking care of a baby and a 2-year-old.
Can you read louder, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Taking care of a baby and a 2-year-old isn't easy when you can barely lace your own shoes. If there was one thing I could do right from beginning to end, like bake or scrub the sheets clean, it wouldn't be so terrible. But my hands are too small for anything, and I'm always hungry.
Oh, nice. Nice. What are we getting at? Huh?
I want to.
It's not a mom.
Older sibling maybe?
Maybe. Although it could be like a midget, right? It could be like you don't really even know. So you're left wondering, why are the hands so small? Why? Well, I wish I had like another half hour with you. This is the fun part for me, but
Right, yeah, so I guess.
so now you can ask me anything you would like about my work or
I have a question, because I also want to be a novelist and a poet and all. So like after college, like how would you start your way to being a novelist? Like on page?
She's asking how do you become a novelist, and the answer is with great difficulty. The first answer is that you need to start writing. You know, you need to start writing as much as you possibly can, and sort of making it part of your job. So, because you know, oftentimes writing, if we're not careful, writing can get sort of squeezed into everything else. But part of being a professional writer is that that is your #1 priority, and you sort of carve out time for it to do it. In a more practical sense, when you have a novel, okay, that you've written and rewritten and rewritten and rewritten, because rewriting is extremely important, and you don't want to send your work out until it's very polished. When you have a novel, the next step is to find an agent. And there are ways of doing that. I mean, you query them, you send them a letter, you give them an enticing little piece. Many people choose to go to grad school because, you know, in an MFA program, you make contacts who can sort of help you. MFA programs are great too because you're in workshops all the time, you're getting feedback from people, you're getting mentoring from professors. You know, they have nights where they'll invite agents to come. So you're getting a whole lot of contacts. And there are a number of MFA programs in the country that are free. Columbia is not one of them. And if I hadn't been in advertising and making quite a bit of money freelancing, I'd be in huge debt. But Texas, Stanford, Virginia, there are a whole lot of programs, Iowa, are free. Some of them you have to teach, you teach like comp to freshmen, but anyway, there's a lot of resources about sort of becoming a writer and looking at MFA programs, how to find an agent, in a publication which is online called Poets and Writers Magazine. You guys write that down, poetsandwriters.org, I think is what it is. And they have all sorts of resources there, and they have archives on almost any subject you want. They probably have 12 archived articles on the best MFA programs, or you know, listening to young agents talk about what they look for when they receive a submission. So that's a really good place to start as a resource for writers. Yes. You can get a BFA in creative writing. Yes. Gosh, duh. Well, that really wasn't an option when I was in college back in the far distant past, but yeah, you can major in it, and you will probably also, I would imagine, on Poets and Writers find articles about the best undergraduate writing programs, and that's definitely something to look at. So your major would be, I mean, you would sort of be doing it all the time, combining it with reading literature. That's also a great option, and it gets you writing. Anything that gets you writing, gives you deadlines, gives you criticism. That's really the most helpful thing. Take a summer workshop. Just do whatever you can to sort of keep writing and motivate yourself. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that people could also make writing groups from people they meet here to meet once a week during
Yeah.
the summer.
You can have writing groups have friends that you exchange your work with. And you give each other, so every 2 weeks you're going to give each other 10 pages. There are just a million resources, and the main thing is to just grab onto everything that helps you, that feels motivating, that feels, if somebody that whose writing you really admire and they seem to get your work, that's a great person to exchange with. Yes?
You said there were 7 years between when you made the shift and when you published for the first time. And so an MFA program isn't quite that long, so I'm curious, especially towards the second part of that, of how you maintained your sort of creative focus and if you had moments of feeling less hopeful.
Less hopefully motivated? Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Yeah, so I went into Columbia in 1999 and I graduated, I finished my classwork in 2002. Mudbound was not sold to my publisher until 2006, and it was published in 2008. After I got out of school, I floundered a bit and was living in Manhattan and supporting my shoe habit, my restaurant habit, and not writing very much because I was freelancing all the time. And at a certain point, I just realized I was never going to finish the book if I didn't really carve the space for myself. So I left the city, I moved upstate, and finished the book. I ended up making a bet with a friend of mine that if we both didn't finish our first drafts by April 1st, 2005, we did this on New Year's, that we would have to pay each other $1,000, like whoever didn't finish, and be ridiculed for the rest of his or her pathetic life. So, but yeah, there was a long period. I mean, you know, writing a novel is a very solitary process, which is why it's really important to have colleagues, mentors, people sort of supporting you, because it's very easy to sort of look at it and go, God, this is crap, and it'll never amount to anything. So, yeah, just get as much support as you can and write as much as you can. Those are my two sort of big pieces of advice. Yeah?
Can you talk about your revision process, how you come back to your work? Do you need time to pull away from it, or do you do it right away after you start it?
Revision process. It sort of changes depending on where I am depending on which rewrite it is. My agent doesn't really see anything until the third draft now. So I write a draft, I give it to friends of mine, one of whom you're going to meet today, Jennifer Cody Epstein. She's read, if you look in the back of Mudbound, she's thanked, and she's read probably 4 or 5 drafts of both of my novels, and I've read hers as well. So I give it to Jen. And when I say a first draft, I mean something that I've revised many times that I'm to the point where I just don't know how to make it any better. That's the point where I give it to Jen and you know, other readers of mine. And then they read, so I have a couple weeks to just sort of, you know, not think about it. They read, and then they'll come back to me with a written critique and also with line notes. And so I will read through that, I'll print out a clean copy, and then I'll go through and make my own notes of what I want to change. And then I go back to the computer, and of course that can all change when you're writing. So then I get a second draft, and I go through the exact same process again. And then at that point I show it to my agent, and usually he has comments, and I do another rewrite, and then I give it to my editor, and usually I have 2 or 3 rounds with her. So a lot of the magic, for me anyway, comes in the rewriting process. You know, first drafts, David Foster Wallace again compared them to a dead leprous baby that you're dragging around behind you because it's so ugly, right? And it's your dead leprous baby, you know, so you have to love it anyway. But first drafts are not, you know, the idea is that they're imperfect, but you've gotten to the end and you can sort of, now that you have this view of the book, you know what's going to happen. You can go back and start weaving in the things that lead to your ending, and you can go back and really start finessing language. So rewrite a lot. It's really, it's you got to. Yeah. Yeah.
Why did you choose historical fiction?
Why did I choose historical fiction? Mudbound is based on stories I heard growing up about my grandparents' farm, which I never saw. And I was in a class and I got a writing assignment to write 3 pages in the voice of a family member. And so I started off with this woman writing about the farm. And then it sort of grew out of that. It sort of chose me, I guess. And my second novel is dystopian. So I don't know that I'm sort of a historical fiction writer, but I'm getting ready to write another historical book. And it involves a lot of research, as you guys will find out if you stick with it. A whole lot of research. Yeah.
How do you balance the research versus the creative? Oh, sorry.
No, sorry. We haven't heard from you yet. I'm sorry, can you speak a little louder? Can you call something historical fiction?
If you tweak some of the details of the air, like you say that there was a microwave at that time, but it was introduced maybe 2 years later.
I don't even think it's important what you call it. If you want a microwave to be in your invented past, you can. What's coming to mind for me is that book by Philip Roth, where he reinvents the past, and Lindbergh wins the presidency, and Hitler takes over Europe. I mean, you can do whatever you want, and I think categorizing things is not important. The only exception to that is that you don't get to write fiction and call it memoir, because then Oprah will yell at you. Yeah, I think it's more important that whatever you're doing feels credible within the world you're creating. You can tweak as many things as you want, as long as it's compelling, and I believe it's possible. Applause.
I think that's all we have time for, so
So thank you so much.
It's really fun.